As the famous saying goes, if you fail to plan, then plan to fail, son. That's the way that it goes, and the cookie crumbles is another episode of What Ted Says. In this awesome webisode about starting up that side hustle, I've been talking about all kinds of business stuff. If you haven't watched the other videos about creating a catchy name or setting up your LLC, you really need to do that. But you might have stumbled on this one because one of the big reasons that 8 out of 10 small businesses fail is they simply have no business plan and they have no KPI, or what's called to be key performance indicators. See, as you start your business, you should be asking yourself, what's the bullseye? And here's what I mean by that. I generally believe that you cannot focus on more than 3 things in your business at one time. So these key performance indicator metrics are going to be these 3 things that pull the lever. Think about a slot machine. How am I going to get cherry, cherry, cherry? And the way to be able to do that is to know what that bullseye is, because that's going to affect your decisions about where you invest money and where you invest time. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you the 8 steps, and these are going to be important to create blank page management and then a 1-page business plan. First thing here is, what's the problem? What is the problem you're trying to solve for, and a description of the problem or need that your customers have, and any relevant data that supports your claim. Think about this here for a second. If I'm selling something new like an Uber service, what data tells me that that's actually a problem? Do people not want to take a cab anymore? Are they tired of taking the train? Are they getting drunk at night and they need to figure out how to get a ride home? Why will that work? Because that creates the solution. It's your product or service and how it solves that particular problem, but you have to be able to solve a problem. Within this business plan, then, you've got to think about your business model. Everyone likes to make money, and so you have to include the cost of production and what it's going to cost to sell your product and market the product. And ultimately, you need to figure out the price that the customers will pay. You can't just magically come up with a price and then hopefully figure it out along the way. That's a business that's destined to fail. But ask yourself this question: what's your ideal client? Who's that person, and how many of them are out there? And it's really best to define that ideal customer, starting with the broad audience, because that's going to dictate how you're going to market and the way that you're going to market and the way that you're going to sell your product. The next thing is, what do you believe to be your competitive advantage? Like, really, what makes you different from the competition, and how will this lead to greater success? Like, do you have better customer loyalty? It's like the MyPillow guy. Are your pillows the nicest, best, fluffiest pillows in the world?
All my pillows are soft. That's one fallacy.
And by the way, if it's just you, is it going to be just you, or are you going to have a management team? And the management team in your business plan is going to be the structure of the business. What are the roles, or sometimes people call it the swimming lanes, and what everyone's going to stay in? Who are the ideal candidates? So you can figure out the talent to hire that's opposite from the talent that you have, and then figuring out where your management gaps are. Now, within this business plan, it's not going to be complete without some financial summary. I recommend a basic pro forma. By that, I'm meaning looking at your key financial metrics like profit and loss, like how are sales going to come in, what are expenses going to be, and what's your cash flow going to be. A basic balance sheet that shows how much money you have in the bank, and having some kind of sales forecast to say, how is my business going to grow? Because one of the questions you're going to have to answer for yourself is, do you need funding, or can you fund this yourself? And that's the tricky part of a business plan, because if you have a funding need, you have to be able to be front and center to clearly display what you're going to need from investors or from a bank. Those are all ways to get that creative financing or financing in general, or figure out if you're going to give up equity in the business in exchange for some cash. So I know I went quickly through that, and if you look on What Ted Says, I'll give you some links on here to actually get a sample of a business plan, one that I've written before. I'll have the names blacked out for you so you can see a basic business plan. But once you develop that business plan for both yourself and your employees in the business, the next question that you've got to ask yourself is, what do you do if you have some cash and if you make some profits? Oh yeah, don't forget, you're not a W-2 employee anymore, so now you're gonna have to figure out how you pay Uncle Sam, because you will potentially have to pay Uncle Sam taxes. They don't take it out of your paycheck. In the next video, and the last one in this series, I'm gonna show you how business taxes work, how you will owe them, and when you will pay them, because the last thing that you wanna do is get behind the 8 ball with the IRS. That could really put a dent in your business. Thanks for watching this episode on doing a business plan on What Ted Says.